Hi everyone, welcome to today's general reading. I'm currently feeling super sensitive to the change in timelines, the need that I think I've been speaking on for quite some time to let go, tie up loose ends, make sure that what you are done with is done and you're really done with it, Sorry, the app that I was using to record went offline for a second, so I don't know how that's going to take, how that's going to show in the recording, but anyway. Hi. So yes, I'm feeling really sensitive to that right now, or sensitive because of that process, because I'm trying to ground myself, so please excuse or don't, just be aware that, yeah, that's my energy levels for this reading. And I hope that for you, I'm recording this January 2026, but timeless intention, however, it's most important, I think, and I keep emphasizing this, that 2026, I think, is a very, very pivotal, historic year. It's going to go down in history, in like the greater scheme of history, like how the 1980s are important to us. The 2020s is going to be important for eons to come. So anyway, I hope that you are accommodating the pivotal shifts that need to occur, that are happening externally, happening internally within you. There's so much happening. There's so much that we need to surrender to and put our hands up and say, we don't know. I don't know what your intention is, as the universe, as God, as the story unfolding. We all have to get better at being able to say, oi, nothing I can do but just be, Hey, Pearl. Let me shuffle and see what's the vibe. Also in the middle of a solar storm, so be aware of that. Be kind to yourself. If you're feeling tired, exhausted, waking up at random hours of the day, feeling like your mind's racing, feeling like your heart's racing emotionally, feeling super restless, easily frustrated, on edge kind of, but like by unnamed things, then be aware of that's what's happening. And our opening card, by the way, is the wheel. This to me is a perfect card that symbolizes what the sun does in these solar flares and things. The turning of this wheel, I like to take the meaning, or I feel called rather, let me say in this moment, to take the meaning of fate from this card rather than a particular sense of alignment, because, or rather let me say, just for this reading, the term alignment to me it makes room for what you perceive as alignment. This is universal alignment. This has nothing to do with ego. This churns the egos. So, oh wow. And I thought of this card. I just thought of, just now, the world. While I was describing the wheel and the function of it, and I was saying, this is an ego churner, I thought to myself, this is like a lot like what the world would do. These two cards together, you guys, this is exactly it, actually. This is exactly what's happening with me internally, and in this moment, it's like really scary to me, processing the bigness of these two energies together, and largely what these two bring and highlight for me is the idea that we really don't know shit. We're just going along in our stories. We try our best to do things, but a lot of the time, in fact, all of the time, even in times when we're not even aware of it, this presence, destiny, fate, it's always working all the time. And yeah, my ego mind is taking a hit in processing that. It's also, I believe, like I've said, what happens. I believe this is what happens. These are the kind of processings that happen when we go through solar flares. the plasma shootings that come from the sun, I believe, are the things they're like, they turn the wheel effectively, or they lock it in, or they change it. Every time a solar flare comes, it just turns the wheel in a major way. This is major. The presence of this, just even beneath the deck with these two cards together, major, major energy of extreme luck, honestly, real good luck, shocking coincidences and occurrences that are so unexplainable that you have to be their God objectively. You will know. It's awareness of a divine consciousness. All the words that we always talk about all the time on this channel and in our respective communities. Really exciting, although I must admit that that's not energy that I am tapping into in this moment, so I'm sorry for how I'm delivering it. Let's see, though, what more this has to do with, according to the collective who watches or is tuning into the video right now. Interesting. We have the Knight of Cups in reverse. Let me pull to see more. Oh, no, sorry, it's upright. It's upright. Oh, and the Two of Discs. I'm assuming it went up. Yeah, it came out with the Knight of Cups and I hadn't noticed. I'm going to pull one more card. Oh, interesting. Right. We have Temperance in reverse and the Five of Swords in reverse. So I'd like to sit on the Knight of Cups. I think that the fact that I picked it up in reverse at first is significant. So this card speaks of an inability to relate to others, passive anger and aggression, keeping him cut off. Someone who never realizes his own worth, but continues a constant search for perfection or relationships. Emotional poverty. Often highly attractive, he may see his numerous affairs as scores. And then upright, which I think is more accurate to the energy that this card refers to. It speaks of a quiet inner strength and harmony, quest for self-knowledge and inner integrity, a detached, somewhat reserved figure intent on his own processes, a man whose shyness keeps him separate, but his inner world is rich indeed, someone well worth getting to know. That definitely does resonate and sit better in my body than the reverse interpretation, but I don't want to ignore that I said it at all, so we'll just put a pin in that. If you know someone who's like that, if maybe you have facets of that personality within yourself, more specifically, what really stood out was someone who never realizes his own worth but continues a constant search for perfection or relationships. This feels like something that may be relevant for the yearners, who I think are the kind of people who likely resonate with my work. So we should be aware of that within ourselves. And then let's see the Two of Discs. I'm receiving a frequency of somebody. I keep getting the spiritual thing and a deeply spiritual experience and somebody who's really trying to deepen their spirituality and the way that their relationship with their spirituality reflects in their life. I keep getting the frequency of somebody who's trying to awaken to that and do more of that. You have the Eight of Discs beneath the deck. This feels like a collective thing as well that's happening, where a lot of people just, with the presence of this card, are trying to find jobs that make them happier. They're trying to find ways of earning money that better match their life purpose, that is interesting, that excites them on a day-to-day, that feeds their souls, you know what I mean? That feeds more than just their pockets. We're all reflecting on ways in which we can do that. To also find ways of earning money that give more than they take. This card speaks of certainties and uncertainties, stress, pressure, choices, working with body energies, deciding whether to take an uncertain path, embracing the unknown, a compelling mesmeric urge in life that is in danger of becoming slightly addictive. That last sentence is interesting. Every time I read the interpretation of it, I don't quite understand that. A compelling mesmeric urge in life that's in danger of becoming slightly addictive. I can get the frequency, but the way that she says it here, it sounds a bit dangerous, and I've never thought it to be dangerous. So I don't know. I would love to know what everybody else thinks of hearing that sentence. Even if you're watching after the live stream, please leave a comment. If by chance you have your own perception of what that line means, it would be useful in helping me unpack more. I'm getting the frequency of an artist or somebody who is very passionate and hopeful. No. Yeah, wait, romantic. Yeah, a Pisces. A Pisces placement who's shy about the fact that they're a Pisces. I don't know how to explain. Somebody who is who is spiritual. You're very innately spiritual, but there's something about it that you are shy about. So you hide it, like a hidden chakrahan who is shy about the fact that they're a chakrahan. Or you're shy about the way that you live your life. You're shy about the fact that you pray. You're a music artist. That's cool. That's cool. I hope that you're pursuing your passions and the things that really do this for you, that give life a deeper meaning for you, and that give you more understanding of yourself, of life. If you have a way that you use if you have a way that a lens through which you perceive life that gives life a deeper meaning for you, my goodness. Even if it's through meditation, maybe you don't do art, but you are yeah, man, you're spiritual. Geez, I don't know how else to put it. You are connected and you are, but you're shy about it. Keep nurturing the ways in which you stay connected. That's very important in general, obviously, but this feels like it's important in this reading. Let's address these cards in reverse because I'm feeling into the fact that this is the result of what happens or what may be happening if you neglect these tender parts of yourself, or if you try to go about your life as if your spiritual connection isn't real or important. You need to prioritize it more. Let's see. I'm going to touch on the Five of Swords in reverse. We have the birth of something new, possibility arising from disorder, illness, or breakdown, self-awareness, endurance, acceptance, forgiveness. That's lovely. The word endurance has come up a lot in readings, and I feel like I'd just like to get into what that word means. Why is it that it's so important in the readings that I do? And it feels collectively important, like it's something that we need to know how to do. Continued existence. The ability to last. I saw this tweet today, actually, where, this person basically was saying, in order to, life is about getting good at continuing on. Yeah. And I woke up early this morning in prayer mode, and part of what I was really worried about was that need to continue on. This is part of this as well. It's part of the part of the thing that's humbling me in my emotional space right now is that the agreement to continue on. Rearing off now a bit to people who suffer from suicidal ideations and who face that act. You face the breakdown of what that act means, to decide to end your life, to end this turning of the cycle. this might be a bit morbid, but I'm also just trying to connect real to real. If this doesn't resonate, then you can stop watching. I'm getting the feeling, the sensation of learning how to overcome that with will and and build a foundation of continuing on. Basically, this is specific to those who have been through or who tackle with suicidal ideations, and you're trying to face it in a you're trying to face it you're trying to face it in a spiritual way versus going to therapy or taking meds or whatever. You're trying to overcome it with your own will, which is incredible. And with the presence of the Eight of Discs again, as I look at it now, this obviously this frequency of wanting to, this is so deep, to try to live life, every moment of your life, every part of your life connected to like a source, to divine source, to this divinity, sense of divinity. I feel like I'm reading for someone who's chosen that for themselves. You need to know the kind of intense agreement that you've decided to get into with the universe and with life. Very scary decision. Shout out. Artists, creatives, entrepreneurs, people who are really living in God's hands. Like God handles your paycheck, little miracles, random cash injections, the perfect client at the perfect time, whatever. That's where you start. I'm receiving somebody who needs to learn how to open up to living life that way, because you have a lot to you that really struggles to be contained in these systems that exist. So just be aware. If by chance you are working a 9 to 5 and you are a very sensitive person, you may be wasting your goddamn time. But also you discern. That's between you and you. I feel called to touch now on the Temperance card in reverse. I'm not quite sure about its presence because the rest of the cards speak of an endurance, and a willingness to just keep it going. But Temperance in reverse references an opposite of that in a sense. This is closing down on possibilities, refusal to see opportunities, fear of being hurt, resisting life, right? Concentration on one aspect of life to the detriment of another, often an unwillingness to see anything but the outer form of material reality. Got it, yeah. So directly, you're a very spiritual person. I've spoken on this before. If you're somebody who is emotionally sensitive, or you call yourself energetically sensitive, then you are in between worlds and you have a responsibility, in a sense, to respect that. Like, you can't pretend that you are not sensitive. If you know that you are, this is the frequency of somebody, like I mentioned earlier, who is extremely sensitive, very, very spiritual, but you want to keep going with your life as if you're not. This is a suppression of your own spirit. But this is also like an ending to that in a way. If you aren't already, please consider surrendering to your intuitive senses. Please consider praying more, meditating more, doing what you can to connect to your spiritual sense, man. Find a way to link that, not just with your work. Maybe that's too much of an extreme decision to make, to go and follow like a spiritual path. But like, I'm receiving now. Find something to do with your hands that connects you, even if it's just massaging. That helps for me, is massaging my womb. Something about your hands need to connect. Maybe when you meditate, try placing your hands together, or putting them on your heart, or your torso. Work with your hands. working with your hands for your spiritual connection feels important. I don't know if you're a grounding person, maybe putting your hands in the soil, touching a tree. Touch things more. Touch things more. Maybe that will help you in bringing you into your senses, which may in turn lead you to being more spiritually connected. But also, this again, I feel like I'm reading for somebody who's innate. You are innately spiritual. You're innately connected. It's time to take that more seriously and to make your spiritual views and perceptions and way of being encompass more parts of your life. Add something to your daily ritual. And I've been mentioning this over and over again in readings. Add something to your daily ritual that has to do with prayer. You have judgment as well beneath the 8 of discs. So light a candle more often. That may be helpful. Virgo, hands of Virgin Pisces. Yeah, you can take anything happening in your life right now as divine intervention. You're in a divine moment in time. So this may be difficult to accept then if by chance you're watching this and you are going through a slightly difficult, maybe energetically, like I'd mentioned, a very energetically whirlwindy time, but know that you are in a divine occurrence. You always are. That's life, right? But this moment is especially fated. I think that because of this is the opening energy, I would like to keep it short, actually, and just leave you with the interpretation of this. Then maybe tap into the other. Actually, let's start with that first. Let's close with the interpretation of the wheel. Let me just look at the story quickly and see what else is going on here. I did at first receive somebody who is. I initially received something romantic, essentially. The Knight of Cups always gives that in general tarot. But what I love about Scylla Conway's deck as well is how this Knight of Cups is, in other decks, it's painted as an offering that this person is making, as a giving. But this figure is very self-reflective, self-intent, inquisitive of the self, very in their own bubble, you know? I think I'm actually going to close the reading off. Yeah. I think I just heard that my cat left the house, so I'm going to have to go now, right now. Never mind. Sorry, y'all. Up and down. Yeah, never mind. But anyway, I do feel like I don't know if I have anything more to add. Like I said, opening this reading, I'm so sorry if you're watching and catching onto this and you're catching onto the tenderness of my vibe right now. I feel this does feel like a personal reading to me on the level that I am definitely trying to be more living and leading a more spiritual life and allowing the sense of your spirit to penetrate in more parts of your life is very terrifying. Requires a kind of surrender and endurance that is difficult to maintain if you are doing it in a system where you're the only one. But it's also just difficult in general. Like nobody can really support you through your divine realizations. It's very personal a lot of the time. And I'm processing the personalness of that and how your aloneness is very crafted and intentional, and technically you're not very alone. You're not alone at all. A repeated rhetoric, something that I know logically, but embodying it is very difficult. And yeah, we can only keep trying. So I think I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. Again, thank you for taking in my energy. Most of the time I can really only show up as I am. So I'm grateful for every moment of support. And I will see you in the next reading.